Testing, testing, recording now. Okay, Michael Wickerson here at Wickerson Studios. I wanted to continue with the second tier of the Patreon, Learning Grasshopper with Plugins. We're going to focus on the Mesh Edit and the, which isn't a plugin, the Image Sampler. We're going to make some scripts that are scaled correctly for kind of imprinting or raising, or think of building a topography or recessing a shape for a mold or for casting or something like that. And I should give credit to Daniel Christev, who inspired this script years ago when I started. And the other thing to take a look at is you will need to, for this, you don't need to because we can go points, surface from points, but one of the best plugins that I use right off the bat beyond bifocals, actually the first one is usually Mesh Edit. And so you can download that, and if you download it, that will jump you over to Grasshopper Docs, which is pretty amazing because Grasshopper Docs itself, well, you're in Grasshopper Docs, and then it'll send you right over to the Food for Rhino. And I don't think Mesh Edit is in the package manager on Rhino when you have to bring it in, but this is one way to do it. And that's a pretty nice script here that you can go in and do Grasshopper Docs and get go through and find out exactly what you want. It's pretty much in a nice order as well. After you get through the vanilla tools, you start taking a look at things like evolutionary solvers, Galapagos octopus, and well, let's see, which I've only looked at the top first and last one. I haven't spent any time in octopus, but I probably need to do that for this series. Anyhow, that's enough to think about to start. And what I'm going to do today is, today I'm not going to do much because I have to go to work, and I was a little late, and I'm feeling a little under the weather. But if we take a look at our script as a whole, the exercises are coming out of the series MGSM, which is on my GitHub, and I'm really going to start from the basics, even though we're talking about plugins. So this is something that can cross over from learning Rhino from Grasshopper, the first tier of the series. But basically, what is a number slider all about? What is a panel all about? What's a Boolean toggle all about? What are these inputs all about? And then it goes pretty complex into surface, evaluate surface, great node, and deconstructing BREP. I use a quad sphere as an example, and I use an MD slider, and then I evaluate surface again, and I evaluate, instead of from the MD slider, I use a construct point. So I'm going to go in full detail of this, and then I push through a value list just to play. I think I have everything disabled. Color swatches are things as well. And then I push into the math that I like the best, which is this fairly simple series here of creating a line from points which are controlled by a range domain in certain directions, but you can actually manipulate that by the data funneling in and out of a graph mapper. And I think that's enough to spend time on. And when you get into the details and realize that every number slider has its ability to animate and its ability to edit, it gets fairly complex fairly quickly. So that'll be the thing I do this evening. What I really want to spend time on is this section. And initially people think of an image sampler as something you just load in, double click, and then or right click and go to wherever in your drive you have an image and import it. But the problem is it doesn't come in the way the image looks. It actually comes in all squished and torqued. So I've used a Daniel Christev script of 1 second. Go ahead. Go ahead. We're live. Okay. And basically it's early morning. There's a scaling exercise here of not only pulling in the script and the image sampler over here by the right click. I think, hang on, double click. No, right click on the image sampler, going in and get it. You will have to set it to interpolate, and I'll go through the details of that. You also want to have this scaling exercise of something in the y direction. The y extends, but you want to scale through this simple little script of finding your dimensions of what the file path actually is. So you have to import once again an object over here, setting one text to the exact same file on your computer. Import the image, and then find a bounding box around it, deconstruct that BREP, and use the dimensions to just bring down to an integer, and then funnel that into the x size, the y size, and also into the x extents. And that should get things smooth again, and you can play with setting your domain. And there's an example of what you set the domain to again from 0 to 1. And then when you output your numbers and points, you can start relating them. This is hard coded here, and I'll talk in detail about that. That you could have a hard coded script. Doesn't need to be that high, where you can make that as parametric as anything as well. And then you're lifting and pushing that image of points into these two structures. And this is where the if I go back to it, you can see that the surface is generated. You have control of surface from points, but then you could also go in and have mesh from points, which is what that plugin does. And I think a lot of people like working in meshes, especially when it comes to topologies. So that's really the example of that. I'm probably going to go this morning because I have to get busy with the day, but I have other examples of different types of manipulation of different images that you can actually turn to different fabrication techniques. So that said, we'll stop today, and I'll get down to this evening, and hopefully people will join me, and it'll be pretty fun. Thanks for watching.